Hello there, this is Danny Lowe. Today what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you on a little tour of one of the other Vanguard ships. It's the Harbinger. And I'm a pretty big fan of the Vanguard series, and I've wanted to play around with the Harbinger a little bit. And I did something a little bit different. Probably a lot of people don't take it to this kind of extreme when they're playing around with the Harbinger, and kind of tend to leave stuff as the default setup. But I actually wanted to turn it into a little bit of a stealth ship, and there's a particular reason for that. The Vanguard Harbinger, it carries three size 5 missiles or torpedoes, and they can do quite a bit of damage. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take it to the other screen, and I'm going to show it to you here while I'm getting ready to get started. So I did a little comparison here on the pricing, and again, this is on Urkel.games, and this is an amazingly good tool. I use it all the time. I have checked out a lot of different tools for Star Citizen over the years, and this one really is an excellent resource. And if you check the pricing, if we cycle it here, you'll notice that the Sentinel is the lowest price one, but not much more for UEC. You can purchase the Vanguard Harbinger. Now, what I did to it is I started playing around with some of the different components in it, and if you take a look at the original design of the Harbinger, you're going to notice that the electromagnetic emissions on it are quite high. And this is typical of most of the ships that are in this range. You have to remember that all of the Vanguard ships are designed as fleet defense ships. And so they're going to be hanging around a carrier, and they don't really care all that much about electronic emissions or electromagnetic emissions. What they're looking for is they're looking for just pure firepower. And it comes with the C788, which is a ballistic cannon. I don't like cannons because they're kind of slow to begin with. And it comes with your typical ballistics and repeaters on the front, and your typical missile loadout. And it's got fairly heavy duty shields, power plants to begin with, and it's got a Jaeger um, quantum travel drive. I went ahead and left that in, but I'm going to show you my loadout here, and you'll notice that there's a significant difference. And I was looking at the Retaliator too. I'm going to load this in here. So I have the electromagnetic emissions down to 10,000, which is outstanding, going from 114. And I've got the damage up quite a bit. It's not a massive amount of damage, but it's not really taking into effect those Scimitar missiles. Now these Scimitar missiles, these are electromagnetic, and I prefer to use the electromagnetic because you can usually get a pretty good lock on most ships. And then what I did is I did my typical loadout that I do for all of the Vanguard series. I've got my hang on one second, please. I just want to make sure that I'm still in the game here and I don't have to log back in. So just going to move my character real quick. But anyhow, you'll notice that what I did is I switched out the 432s for 442s for the missile racks, and I went with all Dominators. I also have two NDB 28 repeaters in the turret, but then I changed the stock Stalkers, which have a little bit more damage per missile, to electromagnetic, and I went with the Scimitars. So they're a little bit less, but they're not torpedoes, they're actually missiles. And then I went to Umbra Shields, which is a stealth grade A, and Eclipse Power Plants, which are stealth grade A. And then I went with the coolers that are Nightfall stealth grade A, and you can see that I've got plenty of power, even with everything overclocked. I'm only using 5,000 to 10,000 megawatts or I'm pretty sure that's megawatts, but I'm only using half of what I have available. And I also have excellent cooling. I could actually drop this power plant down and I could probably reduce that EM a bit more, but I think it's doing pretty good the way it is. So I'm going to just leave it and play around with it and see how it does. So earlier what I did and part of the reason that I went with the large missiles, the size 5s, is they pretty much just shred another ship, especially up close. Now you can lock and you can fire them at 14 kilometers, but 14 kilometers is a very, very long way to fire a missile, and it's going to get spoofed. And it's what we call in the fighter sim world as spoofing a missile. So when you put out countermeasures and then you dodge or you maneuver and change your signature, what happens is that you are doing what we call spoofing a missile. And in other words, you're making that missile go after something other than your ship. But if you're close in, what happens is that the missile has a lot of velocity. You typically, and it depends on the type of missile, but typically about quarter to a third of the way through its flight, the rocket motor is burning and it has its greatest velocity. So it's a lot harder to dodge that missile. So what I typically try to do is especially something like that, is I wait until I'm just outside of his firing range to fire the missile, and there's no way that he's going to be able to avoid getting hit from that missile at that range. So before I jump out, I just have to make sure I've got my helmet on. Don't want to go walking out into a vacuum without the helmet. Alright, so here's the Harbinger, and the Harbinger has a green paint scheme. It's almost like a camo green. And they all look pretty much the same. In fact, they're all the same ship design from the outside. There really isn't that much of a difference. It's the interior components that are different. And you can see that I put on the 442 missile racks. So that allows me to carry 16 of the size 2s, and then I have the BRVS and the GVSR repeaters. A little hard to see here. I'll go ahead and turn on my light, but those are the two ballistic cannons on the top, and then the laser repeaters. And I prefer repeaters. I like the higher output, the speed of being able to fire rather than the impact, especially at close range. And everybody has a little bit of a different philosophy as far as that's concerned. But whatever works best for you, just keep playing around with it until you figure it out. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to show you how easy it is, especially with those size 5s, to take out a ship, especially at a relatively close range with those Scimitar missiles. So the interior of the Harbinger really isn't any different than the other ones. It's got the standard equipment and then the turret entrance right here. And of course it has security doors so that nobody can jump into your ship and assault you actually inside the ship. So it's got multiple layers of protection from somebody trying to board it. Okay, and before we get started here, I'm just going to go ahead and check the contract. What I'm going to do, earlier what I did is I did a multiple group very high risk target. So let me see what I have here. Okay, so this is another group warrant, very high risk. And typically what it's going to spawn is it's going to spawn Valkyries. I don't really care about the payment all that much. to be honest with you. I make more money with mining anyhow. In fact, I have about 1 million UEC that's in the hopper right now at one of the mining places here. So we're gonna take, and then the other thing too. I wanted to mention this earlier. One of the things I like about Urkel is that I can export the purchase list for the components that I need to pick up, and then I can select where I want to get them. So I got most of the components at New Babbage. In fact, I think I got all the components at New Babbage. Okay, so we're going after Chitrundru, Kinji, and Daniello is what we're looking at right here. And I already have the contract tracked. And I'm going to do the typical things that I do in all of the ships. I'm going to go ahead and set my power distribution. And I like to have a good percentage of the power going to the shields so that they can regenerate quickly. I never overclock the power. I just don't feel that it's necessary, and all you're doing is increasing your electromagnetic signature. But obviously the weapons and the shields. And remember again, these are stealth shields, so I definitely want to be careful. Now they don't have quite as much potential energy as a military grade shield. Then I'm going to go ahead and turn on the guns over here. So now you have to pay a little bit more attention to your shield health when you're fighting, especially at close range. Alright, I should be good to go. I'm going to go ahead and dial in the first one here. Now, being that these are very high-risk bounties, okay, so I'm able to put in the marker. They are a little bit more difficult to do, and their friends are going to be stronger too. So this is why I decided to go with these missiles to test them out. And I really like coming in here and testing out some of the different systems. That's kind of one of the things that I really enjoy doing more than anything else. And I'm not really too much into like making massive amounts of money or anything like that in game. As long as I can get enough to test some of the different systems out, I'm pretty happy with that. I'm going to go ahead and select the scimitars here so you can see them on the HUD now. They're on the bottom right hand side, so they're ready to go. And typically with going up against like a Valkyrie, you won't have any problem taking that ship out. Somebody's got me radar locked. We're in the free flight event right now, so people are curious when they see another ship. It's totally understandable. And one of the things I've noticed is that during this free fly event is that people have been really, really helpful. I've been watching some of the chat, some of the dialogue that's been going on, and it's been really exceptional, good amount of assistance that people have been getting on, for some of the different builds. And some advice on like what you can do as far as making money in Star Citizen right now. Now just be aware that all of these systems are going to change, and so I don't expect even on the next patch there's probably going to be significant changes, and we'll just have to kind of wait and see. Alright, so I've got this Chitra. I have to look at the name here. It says neutralize. Alright, so I've got the scimitar selected. And you've got plenty of time in here too. So you don't have to do this like lickety-split. But my goal is to take down the primary ship immediately. And then just go away, because I don't want to really tangle with I don't really want to tangle with his defenders or his buddies. Okay, so this is an Anvil Hurricane, which is a pretty good sized ship. I'm not sure what the specifications are on it, but I could look it up. You'll notice that the scimitars say that they're in range. I'm going to go ahead and get a lock, but I'm going to wait till he gets within firing range on me. Then I'm just going to kind of maneuver and fire. There we go, right about there. Okay, missile off. Okay, and you'll notice that that did quite an extensive bit of damage on that ship. In fact, just between firing at him with my cannons and that size 5 missile, it pretty much just vaporized his ship. Okay, I'm having some lag problems. One of the things that I've noticed during this free fly event, and I'm sure that there are just a massive number of people that are on right now on all the different servers, I'm noticing that I'm having a little bit of trouble with some of the controls. They're kind of like flaking out, and I am just never happy with this map. They really need to fix this problem right here. This is to me is a ridiculously stupid problem. All right, we'll head over here to this one. So Daniello, we're gonna have to do a little bit of jumping to get there. Oop, looking the wrong way. Another thing I wanted to point out too is I have had some people try to contact me in game, and unfortunately I am hearing impaired, and I can't respond to people actually in the game, so I apologize for that. And I can kind of hear what people are saying sometimes a little bit, but the problem is that I'm not hearing it through my headset. I use Discord a lot, and I have to boost the volume, so I just wanted people to be aware of that. So again, I apologize if I can't speak to you in game, but that's the reason. Alright, here we go, Daniello Renwick, and usually when I'm running up against is Valkyries or, what is the other one? It's really not anything heavier than that large transport type of ship. And it's very, very easy to do in this build. Okay, there's Daniello, and it's in a Vanguard Warden. I'm going to show you how easy it is to destroy a Vanguard Warden, especially with this Scimitar missile. Oh, you know he's too close. All right, I'm going to have to switch. I have to go with the Dominators. We're too close now. Put a few on them. So essentially it's the same build that I currently have. And so it's going to do pretty much the same amount of DPS, especially close in. Okay, so he's gone. Let's go ahead and switch over to the other one. And I'm getting a lot of lag. I'm going to cut this short today after I demo the ship build. And another thing too is I am more than happy to share the builds that I have with people. I can go ahead and put the links to them. I don't know if you have access to them though, if you don't actually have an account with Urkel. But if you want to message me on YouTube after I put them up there, I am more than happy to share the builds with you. All right, I have 2 Scimitars left. I only used one on that first one. Second one was a Vanguard Warden, which ridiculously easy to kill with this build. Now, again, I'm not up against a player, and a player is going to have a different setup. So you don't want to go trotting out there, you know, like, well, you know, Daniel told me that you could build this killer ship and you'd be able to take everything down, including a Vanguard Warden. That is a stock AI Warden. And if you're going up against a player in a Warden, you are going to have a much, much more difficult time. And if depending on their skill level and their build, you just may end up being on the wrong end of the results there. So just keep that in mind. There are a lot of really, really good players in here. I mean, like fighter pilot level type players, so just keep that in mind. And many of them have really, really slick control systems too, so just being able to deal with somebody on that level sometimes can be difficult just because they have an advantage with their control systems. Depending on what it is. Okay, here we are. We're gonna go get Kinji. Alright, I got the Scimitar selected. Kinji Broten. I hate maneuvering in these clutter fields. These are terrible. Well, I'm always watching my speed in here. Alright, so we got Kinji right there. We're gonna go ahead and get a lock with the Scimitar. Okay, there we go. We got one on him. Wait till he's in range. Okay, missile away. And look at the damage already. Oh my god. That is absolutely crazy damage. One shot with that missile. Alright, I want to go ahead and get out of here. I can stay in here and tangle with his buddies if I want to, but you know what? I don't really feel like it. I'll take my pay and go ahead and go home. So the Vanguard series are really, really good ships, and just because you see the build that it currently has with the you know, even if it's not a stealth build, even if it's a even if it is just like a standard build with a lot of EM, and look at the EM that I'm putting out right now, even with my quantum drive on, I'm at 6,600. Okay, now it's going to drop off even more. All right, now I'll demonstrate when I fire the weapons systems. Okay, so I'm at just under 3. That's an insane low amount of EM for this ship. All right, now when I fire, obviously it's going to go up quite a bit, and when I fire a missile, it's going to, or if I'm locking, it's going to go up from there even. But that is just really, really low. Now IR seems a little high to me. You know, I mean, if they're using an IR missile, then obviously that could cause, you know, some issues. But you know, typically what I've been finding with most of the players in here is that they're using the EM, and part of the reason is that the EM have a tendency to lock better unless you're dealing with a pure stealth build. All right, so again, and I'm having a lot of stuttering. It seems to be mostly because of the load on the servers right now. It's not a internet issue, it's a game issue. So anyhow, I hope that was able to help you out with whatever you're trying to do. If you have a Harbinger, if you want to try out that stealth build, the total component cost for swapping all of that out was, I'll have to add it up in a little bit here, but it was about roughly about $500,000. So again, on the Harbingers, the Vanguards, is that you need 2 of most of the components. So you need 2 shields, 2 power plants, 2 coolers. The rest of the components are single components, unless you're changing out all the nose weapons. So all of the components that I changed out, including the missiles, about 250, three, uh, right around 400,000 UEC. So you can get a really good stealth-built heavy fighter for just under 3 point, or I mean just under 2.5 million, and that I think is really an amazing result that you get in the game for the amount of UEC that you're investing in that ship to be able to go out and do bounties and stuff like that. And again, that's going after the highest level, the very high risk targets. Obviously, they're going to have lots of friends and they're going to be a lot harder to kill, but you can see how easy it is to kill with that using that Scimitar missile that you fire off at it. Now, those have a really excellent range, like I was saying, about 14 kilometers. I would not lock and fire on an opponent until you're probably within about 5 kilometers, and always be using your countermeasures. So that's it for today. I just wanted to share that with you, and we'll come up with something else that we can do coming up on Monday or Tuesday of next week. And as always, please use my Twitch account. It's the same thing, except for it's just Daniel O at the end if you want to subscribe to my YouTube channel. But the full thing is HANFASTOLFEDANEEL Oliva. And it's OLIVAW, but or just DANEELO. And it's from the book, so it's Hans Fastov, the father of the positronic brain. Anyhow, thank you very much for watching, and hopefully we'll catch you soon. And have fun out there. Don't get stressed. Enjoy playing Star Citizen. We'll catch you soon.
Please proceed to assigned landing bay.